Today we're here at the Big Access Podcast. I'm dressed like Bill Belichick, so I feel like I'm giving like a post-game presser. So my wife just got me these shirts. You guys ever heard of TikTok Shop? David, have you heard of TikTok Shop?
I haven't, but I'm going to go buy me some now.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I guess now on TikTok you can buy a bunch of stuff, and so there was this guy who was sitting there going, "Yeah, these are the most comfortable hoodie T-shirts ever," and so she bought me 3 of them, and so I'm wearing it. And then I walk in today, and Tyler, who's one of our he's our digital marketing team lead over here. He goes up to me, he's like, "That a new shirt?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you look like Bill Belichick," and now I can't unsee it. So. That's what I've been doing all day. So, anyways, yeah, go get yourself some of these. I really like them. They're comfy. Hey, there's a shameless plug for somebody out there. But David, how the heck are you, man?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking.
Good, man. Well, today we've got David Jones, who is he's our integrations team lead, who is joining us remotely because David does not live here at corporate headquarters. You're actually in Oregon, right?
Washington.
Washington. That's what I meant. That's the same thing, right? Yeah. Anyway, so you're in Washington, but you come into the office occasionally. You're going to be here in a couple of weeks, but we needed to get this episode put together, so you get to join us remotely, and that's okay. But David is a really big, awesome team member here at PDK, and he is very impressive at his job. In fact, there was I know that Dallin, when he was looking to come on, he tells the story of where he told you, hey, check out these guys. Let me know if they seem legit and whatnot. And you actually gave Dallin the go-ahead. Yes, go to PDK before you were even here at PDK. And then Dallin, when we were having an integrations team lead popped up, he's like, hey, you know what? I've got the guy. And now you're over here. So it's kind of funny that the way that whole situation worked out there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm really glad Dallin, decided to join and then eventually convinced me to join as well. So it's been it hasn't quite been 2 years yet, but man, it's been a blast, and I've learned so much. Coming from a totally different industry, it kind of started out. I had to have Dallin explain access control to me like I was a 5-year-old, but now I feel like a part of the industry, and it's been a lot of fun.
That's cool, man. Well, we really love having you on the team. And even though you're not like here in the office, I feel like we've got a great relationship, and we talk over Slack a lot. We talk on these meetings a lot. And in fact, one of the coolest things that I feel like you do is you set up a bunch of meetings with me with a bunch of integration partners and their marketing team. So I loved that. That's been a lot of fun. So it's great working with you, David. Why don't you kind of tell our partners kind of a little bit about how you guys go about, in integration from start to finish, and what that looks like for your team?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, first, we start just with a lot of exploration. I mean, we hear from our dealers and from our sales reps all the time, hey, does PDK integrate with this? Does PDK integrate with that? I have a spreadsheet that I keep track of all that. And literally every day I'll get contacted by someone hearing about some platform I've never heard about before, things like that. There's a lot of needs out there to integrate the access control system with HR platforms, with video platforms, all kinds of other services. So that's really the first step, is just really listening to our dealers, listening to our sales reps, and their and the end user obviously as well. And just kind of identifying what those integrations are that would be really impactful, for our users. And then, a lot of times it's funny, it works out sometimes that, we kind of start hearing about something, and then all of a sudden we'll be contacted by that company saying, hey, we want to build an integration. And we obviously love that, right? We support that. And so in those cases, we provide developer support. We set up Slack channels with these partners. We dive into architecture meetings and really figure out the best way to build these integrations. But ultimately they, do the heavy lifting, and their teams do the work. And then, other times that doesn't happen. Our dealers still need it, but the partner, for whatever reason, is not able or willing to build it. And so So that's where our team just dives in and just builds the integrations from scratch in those cases. And so, yeah, I mean, we just approach it like any other project. The first step is to really learn the system. We have to become experts in that system, figure out where the integration points are, talk to dealers and see what they're looking for, and then just sit down and hammer it out and build it and go through a beta process and launch it. So just like any other product.
That's so cool. And it's crazy at how fast your team operates with a lot of these. It feels like as soon as I get done writing out a marketing campaign for one, you guys come to me with another one saying, hey, this one just launched. I'm like, holy cow. Which is not a bad thing, right? I mean, one of the cool things that you'll see in PDK, in PDK.io 2.0 is our integrations tab. If you go in there, you're going to see a full marketplace of a ton of different integrations that David and his team have had a hand in creating or a hand in helping other teams to be able to create. In there, we've got a ton of them. In fact, yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, you actually just sent me some info on a brand new one that just launched, a new scheduling software. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool seeing that whole marketplace grow and seeing all the number of different integrations that are now out there for our partners. So good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what we love to do. I mean, it's nice because our job is very measurable, right? Like the more integrations there are in our marketplace, that means we're doing our job. But it's really awesome just to get to know all these partners and just to really get a sense of the industry and there's just a lot of opportunities out there to make our end users experience better when they're running their business. So It's nice to be a participant in that.
I think you just nailed that on the head where you said that the reason why we're doing these is to make their experience better, right? This is not just for us to be able to check off a box and say, yes, we do this. This is an opportunity for us to help educate partners and educate end users that while PDK is awesome, there's a lot of other security needs that are out there that you can have ultimately all work together to create that turnkey solution to simplify your life while still protecting that life and your property.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's very common to say, the end user wants a single pane of glass. That's really what integrations are trying to create. It's trying to create that single pane of glass so that the user's not jumping around between systems, and feel like their business is really disjointed. They're able to do most of what they need to do within one system, and switch around very, very infrequently.
Well, and I think another thing that it allows the end user to do is experience top level security products instead of just a manufacturer that might do a little bit of everything. Everything is just okay in that situation, right? It's a doer of all but a master of none. In this situation where you're being able to integrate everything together, you can take the masters of access control, us here at PDK, and integrate them with a master of VMS, integrate them with a master of visitor management, a master of video intercom. All of these who do really, really well at what they do, having them work together can really deliver the best experience possible.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not just having the best product, but it's also having the best, business proposition for our dealers, right? So a dealer might get treated very well from one, video surveillance company versus another. And it allows them to pick and choose those partnerships that they're going to have, which ultimately impact their bottom line when they're reselling these products. So
that is spot on, dude. I could not have said that any better myself. Way to be. Love it. And one of these really cool integrations that I want to talk about is Microsoft Entra. Now, Entra is an Active Directory service that Microsoft offers that a lot of companies use to help simplify their life. Talk to me, David, about how we went about, kind of building this integration with Entra, what it does, and ultimately why it's out there in our integrations marketplace.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess to answer that, you kind of have to answer the question, why do people use Active Directory at all, right? And I mean, Active Directory first came out decades ago, I think in 2000, and the main problem that it solved is just managing a large number of users, having to access things like, workstations or email services or, networks, software, things like that. If you've got a small organization, it's not really a big deal. But when you start having hundreds or thousands of employees, or, if you're a school, students, that's just a lot to manage. You have people coming in, people going out. You don't want security holes to be, left behind when people exit. And so, just having a centralized directory is just kind of a must-have for a larger organization. And so, you started out with Active Directory, which is an on-prem solution, and that kind of moved into the cloud with Azure Active Directory. And that's actually where we started with our integration. So we have two, phases of our integration. Our older integration, which is PDK 1.0, it is branded Azure Active Directory. And then Microsoft kept evolving that product, and now it's Microsoft Entra. So same idea, but just a different name. And so our PDK 2.0 integration is Microsoft Entra, and really it solves that problem of access control. It falls into a category that we call IAM, Identity and Access Management. And so what's interesting about this integration is it really extends that concept of logical access, like to software and services. It extends that to physical access as well. So now from within Microsoft Entra, I can manage not only access to services and software, but I can manage access to physical spaces as well. So it's pretty cool.
That is way cool. So when it took time, or when it was going to go and, time to upgrade it from, Azure to Entra, what did that process look like of linking PDK.io together with, the different feature sets that Entra provides?
Yeah. So that was a pretty big upgrade. If there's any listeners who have customers using, the old Active Directory integration with PDK, I mean, that was a great integration. But man, we made so many enhancements with the new version of it. So the old integration used what's called the Microsoft Provisioning Service, which is a pretty common service for provisioning accounts in different places. But it just had a lot of idiosyncrasies. One of them being it could take up to 40 minutes to synchronize, which seems kind of crazy, and by today's standards. Can we kind of expect everything to be immediate? And with the old integration, there was also no way to actually manage credentials. You could manage, group memberships and through that manage rules, but you couldn't actually issue credentials, through the integration. So those are a couple of things that we fixed in the new integration or added in the new integration. So the new integration can sync within 1 or 2 minutes. It's way faster, and you can actually issue both physical and mobile credentials through the integration, which is a huge thing for some of our customers, because it shifts that responsibility of issuing credentials sometimes it shifts it from HR over to IT, and they're able to manage it so much more efficiently in that department. So it's been a game changer for some of our customers.
That is so cool. No, it sounds like it is a game changer. And so, I mean, ultimately, the way that you go in and you set up this integration is you go right into PDK.io, 2.0. You go to the system settings, you find that integrations tab, and then you can scroll down and find Microsoft Entra, right? From there, we can go ahead and enable it. And then what happens after you hit that configuration button, David?
Yeah, so you hit the configure button, and then it takes you to a configuration interface that kind of sits. It's not in Entra, it's not in PDK. It kind of sits between the two platforms. It's just for setting up that integration. And the first thing you do is you connect a Microsoft tenant, an Entra tenant. So that's really what you're doing. You're taking a PDK system and you're connecting it to a Microsoft tenant, and you actually can connect. You can have many-to-many relationships. You can connect multiple PDK systems to a single tenant. You can also connect multiple tenants to a single PDK system. So, it supports all kinds of configurations. But once you connect that tenant, then really all you're doing is you're mapping groups, right? You've got groups in Entra that define certain sets of users. You've got groups in PDK that also define sets of users and define access rules. And the integration just allows you to link those two together, so that if I add someone to a group in Entra, they automatically get added to a group in PDK and inherit all of those access rules.
That's really cool. I mean, ultimately, the customers that are out there using Microsoft Entra, oftentimes it could be, an enterprise style system that's out there that might have a ton of different users, that needs a ton of different groups, and they have a bunch of different platforms all tied into Entra, right? And so it simplifies everything, where if they just do it there, it might delete them from their HR software, it might delete them from their access control and any other platform that they have tied into it. So it's really a simple platform. So ultimately, at that point, the end user is not even using PDK.io much, right? They're using Microsoft Entra more frequently.
Right. And that goes right back to the whole single pane of glass, right? The people in IT or a managed service provider, they live in Entra. It's not that they don't like the PDK interface. They do like it, but they live in Entra. They do everything pertaining to their job in Entra. And so if we can take one additional component and put it into Entra and allow them to consolidate that experience, it makes their lives so much easier. So yeah, they are spending less time in PDK.io and more time in their platform of choice.
Which, I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, we're here to help simplify lives while still protecting life and property. I mean, you find that with everything that we do with PDK.io. That's the reason why it's so simple. That's the reason why we have the on-the-go management. That's the reason why we have system and health, right? Being able to troubleshoot remotely is big. But being able to make it where you don't have to go and make any changes in 12 different software platforms, that's what this is all about. Do it in one single pane of glass, like what David's saying, where you do it there and it's going to affect everything. It is so simple there. Very cool integration. The integrations team has done a very good job of putting this together, and it's working great out there. We've got a number of different customers who have this system or have their PDK system connected with their Entra IDs or their Entra Active Directory. So pretty sweet. Well, David, anyways, we are running low on time here, but wanted to thank you again for taking the time to come jump on this week's episode and talking to us all about integrations and specifically about Entra. Entra is a really cool integration. If you want to learn more about it, please feel free to reach out to us and reach out to our sales team. Shoot us an email at sales@ProdataKey.com, or you can call our main line and you'll be able to get a hold of your sales contact. And we would be happy to assist with any demos, answering any questions that you might have, and we're happy to help answer anything and help make your life easier. Anyways, thanks again, David, for taking the time to come jump on this week's episode. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to the Big Access podcast, give it a 5-star rating, and let us know if there's any particular topics that you're looking to learn, and we can add that to an upcoming episode. But thank you very much, and we will see you next time.